Here at Paddy Power, we're the home of the Money Back Special, with some incredible offers every single week. Check out the website or app today. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus begambleaware.org.
Hello and welcome to this Monday Postcast. I'm Maddie Playle, joined in the studio by Tom Park. Parky looking very smart and suave today.
Yes, off to the Sports Journalism Awards tonight, so
yeah.
Got us dressed for the occasion.
Yeah, get the free booze in. And Dave Orton.
Get it out of the way, yeah, looking... Cheers for that, Tom, didn't get the memo.
Binners as well from Paddy Power. Binners, how are you? You've been out and about and everywhere this weekend.
Yes, Maddie. Good afternoon to you. I was at Kempton on Saturday and I went to Fontwell yesterday. I must just quickly give the Allen family from King's Lynn a mention. They've got a masterpiece for their mantelpiece now. I don't know his first name, but he had a selfie with me and Paul Keeley at Kempton on Saturday. So
what a selfie that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, action from Kempton, Newcastle and Lingfield this weekend. Let's start off with the main sort of disappointment. I think it would be fair to say Angel's Breath. Southfield Stone winning the Dovecote, of course. Parky, what was your take on it? I think Paul Nicholls was very surprised. Harry Cobden, I spoke to him yesterday. He sort of said, well, he's not in any of the novice races at the festival. We never thought he would win, but we're glad he has.
Yeah, there was a bit of mixed reaction, I would say, from people. Some people saying, look, that was not a bad performance, given that he was giving way. It was just his second start. There was plenty more to come. I'm of the opinion that if Angel's Breath was any good, as in top-level good, he'd have found a way to win the race. It didn't look quick enough to me. I know Kempton's a sharp enough track, but I feel like a step up in trip is absolutely needed, at least by half a mile. And look, the winner actually gave him every chance, Angel's Breath every chance, because he hit the last two. So look, I'm of the opinion that Angel's Breath probably isn't that good. I certainly don't think he's good enough to win the Supreme.
What about the winner?
The winner, I think, is going to make a lovely chaser in time. I don't know if he's got any festival entries.
Handicap, I think.
Yeah, I think they were on about the handicap route. But I think chasing will be his game. He's a big, scopy type, and I think he could be an exciting one next year. Paul Nicholls' horses tend to just get better with age, and he looks like he's put his greenness behind him from the first few starts, and it was a good performance. It was a good performance.
Yeah, beaten under a double penalty the time before, Dave, of course, so I'm not sure many people expected it, but he had that sort of Grade 1 form in the book on a line through Elixir Donuts, didn't
Another massive boost for the Tolworth winner, Elixir Donuts. Yeah, absolutely. Something who was, prior to Saturday, maybe the forgotten horse in the Supreme. Seems like quite a long time ago now, that Tolworth, doesn't it? Again, he's proven around there, isn't he, Elixir? Again, I'm kind of with Tom, actually. I was surprised by the tactics. I didn't think they bury him away quite as much on that, on that ground, on a speed favouring track. Maybe they were just that confident, from what they see. The vibes about this horse are serious. He mentioned him in the same breath.
Did you step him up in trip or something now?
You can see, you can't. Again, that wasn't the performance of a Supreme winner, was it? Let's face it. I think we've rated 151, something like that. The course record, of course, which we saw also in the juvenile race, which we'll get to. But Henderson was disappointed with that. I think he wasn't on the floor. You wouldn't tear up your ticket yet. Stiffer track, maybe some softer ground.
The problem with it was, I think Nico gave him quite an easy time of things. I don't think he was too hard on him. So, look, they've got future things in mind for this horse. He pulls very hard in his races. So, it's actually stepping up in trip. He looks like he needs it, but is he going to pull too hard and blow his chance over further?
Yeah.
They did bury him away. I don't know what else they could have done, really, because if a horse is keen, you need to kind of take a lead, really. It's an interesting one. Look, he's an ex-pointer. I'm sure he'll improve for a step up in trip and maybe for a fence in time.
Yeah, like you say, he was keen. It was inexperienced. Actually, the girl who looks after Angel's Breath, and she was sending me videos of him falling asleep in the stable yard beforehand. So he is obviously quite relaxed when he's not out on the racecourse, but he knows when to go. Binners, what was reaction from this race in the Cheltenham markets?
Well, Angel's Breath is still 13-2 for the Supreme, Maddie. So he's only got a couple above him in the betting there. Al Dancer heads the market, and then Fakir Dudair on 11-4 and 7-2 respectively. For the Ballymore, Angel's Breath is now at a 7-1 chance from 8-1. So maybe possibly he might step up in that with 2 or 3 ahead of him in the betting. As far as the winner goes, Southfield Stone, Paul Nicholls did mention the Imperial Cup, and he's 6-1 co-favourite for that race, along with Monsieur Lecoq and Benny's Bridge.
Wouldn't be too surprised to see him turn up for that, given how Paul Nicholls, he's really getting on a roll now. Dave, you mentioned the Adonis winner, Fusil Raffles. News this morning, unfortunately, he's not going to make the Triumph, but it was such a good performance, it's worth talking about anyway. Very impressive, wasn't he?
We've reached that horrid stage now, haven't we, where we've got 2 weeks or so to the festival, and these news breaks will come out.
The Richeberg as well, yeah.
The Richeberg's a huge one. So just when we thought we saw a British hurdler that might put it up to the Irish, he smashed the course record. I know that it went in the next race, and the horses behind him.
Okay. I'm not sure they were much.
Yeah, it looked like a wide open race on paper, didn't it? And the betting suggested, 4-1, that he wasn't anything that special. But apparently he had a horrid winter, and in the way he came clear after whacking that second last, which is obviously where he cut himself. It was impressive, so I'm a bit disappointed by that. I mean, he was 13 seconds quicker than Zarkandar, for example, in 2011. So, I mean, you take the ground into consideration there, but he looks pretty special. Let's hope it gets to Aintree anyway.
Yeah, it's crazy how you could actually see him make that injury, couldn't you? Like, taking the skin off his leg. Dave, finally, before we move on to Parky, if he was sound horse, do you think he beat Sir Eric in the Triumph?
That's a good question. The handicapper doesn't think so. 126 was the RPR that I saw today. I was refreshing that. That was really low. Maybe the horses beat the judge, Priceps. They look like Fred Winter types, don't they, I think. So I guess he's taken that into account. But if you were just judging that, that makes him a Fred Winter horse, doesn't it? 126. I mean, Sir Eric's on the 1-4 mark or something like that, isn't he? I think to 140. Would he have beaten him? Hard to say. Probably not. But I think he would have gone close anyway.
Okay. Triumph still looking openish, bar the favourite, isn't he? He's becoming a bit of an Irish banker now, Parky.
Yeah. What's amazing about this horse, because you get a lot of flat recruits, maybe not as classy as this horse.
Sir Eric now we're on about.
Yeah, Sir Eric we're talking about, yeah. He wasn't beaten far by Stradivarius, obviously, in the long distance cup, which everyone's aware about. The difference is with this horse than other flat horses who've maybe not gone on to do the things they promised over jumps. This horse loves jumping. He attacks every hurdle, and last time I thought he was brilliant.
Do you think he was flattered a bit? Some people saying he got an easy lead.
Look, we've just been saying about the British form. He's beaten the same horses that he beat the first time. So, and they've not really raced against much else. So we're just assuming, because the Irish have been so much better in recent years, and because Joseph O'Brien seems to saddle every winner of all the other juvenile hurdles that are around, that the form is good. I'm of the opinion the form is probably good, and Sir Eric is probably one of the bankers of the meeting. The class is there from the flat. He's got bags of speed. He jumps quickly.
Connections confidence sort of rubs off a bit, doesn't it?
If there's a horse that's going to beat him, it's probably going to be a real gritty battler like Quel d'Istan. So maybe his actual threat, unless Fakir Dederis runs, because that wasn't impressive. I mean, providing he goes to the Supreme, I think Paul Nicholls probably holds his closest danger, really.
Okay, and Fusil Raffles, hopefully we'll see him at Aintree. Obviously the owners have won that race. They won it last year with We Have a Dream. Binners, just run us through the Triumph hurdle betting at this stage. Obviously, we know Nicky Henderson's horse is now out, but worth mentioning anyway.
Great shame that, Maddie. The Irish banker Sir Eric heads the market 11-10. Then we're 5-1 Fakir Dudare, 6-1 Paul Nicholls' Kel d'Istan, and it's 8-1 Band of Outlaws and 9 Pick Dorhe.
Okay, so another one that features on Saturday was the Eider Chase, and then of course Rathvinden came out and boosted his Grand National claims on the Sunday in the Bobby Joe Chase. So we can talk about that race looking forward now. Very sad, first off, what happened to Baywing. Owners obviously gutted. Horrible situation, beautiful horse, so our thoughts are with the connections of him. But Cross Park, he's sort of been banging on the door in these races, hasn't he, gents? And he finally got his way in the Eider.
He has. Strangely enough, I was actually on the phone to my dad a couple of nights earlier, and I was saying how I've adopted a back in the park philosophy in these kind of races, and he was quite close in the Classic Chase. I got to shout "Come on, Parky" over the last, which I've quite enjoyed doing. Unfortunately, I didn't stick by him this weekend, as I was on Vicente, who I was a bit disappointed with the ride that Vicente got given. Not because the jockey did anything wrong tactically or anything like that, but the horse had put in an extra stride at 4 or 5 fences in a row, and then he took a tumbling fall. He was never going to win the race. Admittedly, he was staying on the flat after he jumped the fences down the back, and Sean Bones probably felt like he's got something under the bonnet still. But he took a tumbling fall. I'm a big fan of the horse. I just wonder whether when a horse puts in 6 or 7 jumps in a row where he's clearly not enjoying himself, whether that fall was unnecessary really. But take nothing away from the winner. As I said, he's been knocking on the door. He's very, very consistent.
Would you fancy in a national?
I wouldn't know. I'm not sure how classy that race was at the weekend. I thought he actually won quite well in the end. I know he doesn't really. He took a while to go past the horse in front, but I think he was always. It was
a funny race, wasn't it? Because there were so many in with the chance. Usually they're strung out like anything.
Did he get into a national? 135, wasn't he? So
yeah, he'd need a decent enough hike.
I'm not sure where he is on the list, but yeah.
Possibly in maybe next year he might become a national. I don't think he's good enough. I think he's a likeable horse who he's a good jumper, and I thought he won with probably a little bit in hand at the week, and I thought he was probably a bit more value than the winning distance. But
maybe one of the sort of regional nationals or something could be more his bag. Dave, we'll move on to Rathvinden then. He was pretty impressive, wasn't he? It was quite funny. We were doing a market movers piece earlier on in the day, and he was on the drift big time. You thought, he's going to need the run. Then he came in a bit and won easily.
Wouldn't if he'd have needed the run either, would you? Just actually having a run was a big thing if you backed him, which I have for the national. I think he wins the national. I thought that after he got beaten at Punchestown, I thought that's a national horse, isn't it? They're not going to hang around. It's a second season chaser, which is quite interesting.
Not many starts for an 11-year-old, has he?
No, he missed out 2015 and a lot of 2016, I think, just without looking at his profile off the top of my head. He's just got that class about him as well. He's tough as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
That 4 miler's working out well as well, by the way.
It is, yeah. I'm happy, want to see Miss Parfois back. She's a good mare to watch. Binners, Grand National betting, obviously Cross Park, perhaps not one for this year, but Rathvinden, I'm sure, has been very popular.
Yeah, Rathvinden very popular now. Maddie's second favourite, 12-1 from 20-1 behind Tiger Roll, who's 10-1 favourite. Then you've got Elegant Escape in at 14, 16 Annabelle Fly, and it's 20-1 the rest.
Brilliant. Now, we can't talk about the rest of the action without mentioning the horse on the screen behind us, and that's Walt, who won the 888 Sport Handicap Chase at Kempton, the feature. Bit of a funny race. They sort of didn't go much pace, stacked them up, and then this horse sort of winged the last and sprinted home. But it was a good ride and a good performance, Parky.
It was a good performance. Pleased for Neil Mulholland because he's not really been going for the best of times recently. He is a top trainer. And look, he's won this race again, and it was a good performance. I'd backed Adrian Dupont, who, I was screaming at the telly at the time, but actually upon reflection, just when you back these horses that are held up, you can't really have any... When they go so slow up front, unfortunately 5 or 6 fences out, even though he was still travelling very well, and there was briefly a second turning in where I thought, he might just come and catch them here, but they've gone so slow that unfortunately that's the problem when you back a hold-up horse. It's easy enough to blame the jockey. I saw a few things on Twitter, and as I said, I was kind of a bit annoyed at the time, but on reflection,
slow.
He can't do it. The jockey probably knew halfway round that he wasn't going to win that race. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you expect a race like that to probably be a bit of a stronger run, but he's definitely one to keep on side, Adrian Dupont. I think that he is not quite in the same league as Surname in terms of improving, but he's definitely an improving horse. They've got to the bottom of his quirks, and a strongly run race will suit him, and maybe the Bet365 at Sandown later on in the year could be a possibility for him.
That's interesting, yeah. Glen Rocco won the fancied horses. I really loved this horse, and like you say, slow pace, never going to suit him. If you remember when he finished behind Glen Forza, he was detached by about 4 lengths turning in and then stayed on. I think, although he's won round Kempton, that race probably fell apart. I think he just wants a bit of a trip now, and he's made to look a bit slow, wasn't he, Dave? But I'm not giving up on him just yet.
Flabbergasted to see him settled so far back at the very start of the race. And again, Leighton Aspel and him must have thought, I'm absolutely done here. I thought he was one of the eye catchers of the weekend. Looks like a future national horse to me all over. Don't give up on him, definitely.
If he runs in something at the national meeting, maybe not, the Grand National itself, but
he's got plenty of entries at the festival, I think, isn't he? Is he in the 4 miler as well? I can't remember, but
maybe the Ultima,
He's an interesting horse, definitely. Maybe that listed handicap on National Day throws up future national winners.
Yes. Is that the one Thomas Patrick won last year?
Correct.
Yeah, I like the sound of that, actually. Let's move on to Sunday then. Vision de Flow had his moment in the sun in the National Spirit Hurdle at Fontwell. Parky just been finding 1 or 2 too good over 2 miles, but seems to do okay at this trip as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was only a couple of starts ago. He ran an absolute screamer against Bouvedere. Glad he's had the day in the sun. He's a likeable horse, I think. He really...
He's been run a lot, hasn't he? He's been
absolutely. He seems to be out every week. The horse that's form was franked was Grand Sancy that beat it, obviously, was it just last week, I think? I mean, that's looking, in terms of the Supreme market, for a novice to beat Vision de Flow, who's gone on to beat all the horses the following week, is a good performance. If the cap fits, I mean, this horse, I just can't understand why they've been campaigning him
looks
over
like a stayer, doesn't
trips this year. I mean, he looked so slow. And he definitely needs 3 miles. I'm sure the connections will be probably stepping in up in trip next time.
Yeah, before I go to Dave, Binners, any price on Walt for the Ultima and Vision de Flow? I know they mentioned the Coral Cup yesterday.
Yeah, the Ultima, Walt is 16 from 33 for that race, sponsored by Max McNeil. And actually, the Vision de Flow is, I think they mentioned the county hurdle, actually,
did they?
Paddy.
Okay, county
and he's a 12-1 second favourite for that race behind Southfield Stone on 10-1. Colin Tizard did say that he might still. There's a possibility if the champion hurdle did cut up that he might give him a run in that, and he's a 33-1 poke for the champion hurdle as well.
Yeah, Dave, are you also wanting, if the cap fits, to go up in trip stayers hurdle?
Yeah, I covered that race in the analysis section yesterday for the paper, and both connections were suggesting the Aintree hurdle might be the way forward for the first 2.
I should expect, yeah.
It was a bizarre run by If the Cap Fits, wasn't he? It looked to be hating life. And then he was giving the winner £4 as well, I think, wasn't he? So he comes out with credit again, whether they go to... In fact, he's not entered at Cheltenham, is he? I think Harry Fry said afterwards something about a flu jab might have put him back. Again, we've got to get used to that now, haven't we? These trainers coming out. As a punter and an analyst, you're kind of looking at these races and thinking, well, I've just got to take it on face value that they're all going to be fit and fine.
Yeah.
But afterwards, there are a couple, or certainly have been a few, that come out. Angel's Best with another one, of course.
Yeah, some other winners on Sunday. What's wrong with you? In the novice chase, Shantou Flyer Parker, you mentioned the sort of Hunter Chase division last week, I think it was. He's one of the best British, maybe, at this stage. And as a big Q Card fan, you must have been happy to see Hugo's other horse, his half-brother, win that bumper as well. That was nice.
Yeah, up the queue. He's still around. The Fox Hunter market is interesting now that Cruz Linen got an entry.
Rooney's, of course,
through the Rooneys, I mentioned him last week. I think the fact that Jamie Codd's been on him all season, I just wonder whether he'll rock up with Jamie Codd on board, which will obviously probably force his price to collapse quite considerably. I think Hazel Hill's probably still the best of the British, I would say. His performance has been quite
maybe I was getting a bit overexcited there.
It was a strange ride given on Shantou Flyer, because I don't know, he seemed to be really still going at it, even though the horse was 15 lengths clear. Whether he needs such a hard race 2 weeks before Cheltenham, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I mean, I think the Fox, as I said last week, the Fox Hunter this year looks like a really strong race. You've got an unexposed 7-year-old in the favourite that in normal years would probably be around the 6-4 mark. So the fact that he's 9-2 just shows you how strong there is. There's a lot of horses going into this race off a sequence of ones next to the name.
Yeah, and Dave, we had good action at Naas yesterday as well. Any other eye catchers from this weekend's racing?
Yes, there was. Let me remind myself. On Saturday, that Dickie Driver won, didn't he?
Dicky Diver, yeah.
Dicky Diver,
Chip,
sorry.
So, yeah, big
Diver.
fan of him for the
A
Albert
lot of people
Bartlett.
are. He's only 10-1 now over the Albert Bartlett. They've got Birchdale potentially for that as well. He looks like he's going to go. The form looks pretty good. McNamara's Band was third in that. Slipped up at the course, you may remember, on his previous start. He went all the way out to 8-1. He wasn't given a hard time, let's put it that way. I thought he was one of the eye catchers again of the weekend to take out of this few trackers.
Okay, Parky, any from you?
There was a horse that won the bumper at the last race at Kempton called Enrilo, I think.
Yes, yeah.
That was third in it. There was an Ascot bumper in December that's working out quite well. The winner of that race was a horse of David Pipe's called Edindahu, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah.
He's 25-1 for the bumper. Look, Pipe has not got the horses that he once had. He's struggling a little bit to have these top flight winners. That performance was quite good. He won it quite well, and as I said, the race is working out quite well. He might just go under the radar. He's about 25-1 for the bumper, and if Pipe's won this race before,
Moon Racer.
yeah, with Moon Racer, yeah, and you know, Pipe can train. I'm not buying any of this that Pipe. He can train. He just needs the right horses under him, and it looked quite impressive that day. So the form's working out well, and I wouldn't put anyone off 25-1 for the champion bumper.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really nice one, actually. A few people have sort of said Edindahu, one to follow. Binners, before we go for a break, any thoughts on the weekend from you?
Well, I had a great day at Fontwell yesterday, and the horse you just mentioned, what's his name? What's Wrong With You?
Yeah.
I think his jumping was a little bit sketchy to start off with, but he got better, and he's 8-1 favourite for the Grand Annual, unchanged. But they like the horse, and he's interesting for that. David Maxwell was really sweating after his ride on Chanteau Flyer. I think that one may well go well in the Fox Hunters. He's a 7-1 shout from 8-1. But of course, they've got this stand up and fight at the head of the market. It's going to be difficult to beat.
Yeah, okay. We're going to have a look at some of Saturday's action just after this break.
Right, 10 seconds to promote Paddy Power Games. Paddy Power Games, Paddy Power Games, Paddy Power Games. Advertising. It's easy when you know how. Paddy Power. Enough of the nonsense. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Welcome back to this Monday Postcast. As promised, we're going to look at Saturday's action now. Newbury first off, their Greatwood Charity Day, the Greatwood Gold Cup's the big race there. Paul Nicholls often does really well in this sort of race, and he's on an absolute rampage at the minute, Dave.
He's won it 6 times since 2009. Thomas Crapper won it last year. Do you remember that? He sort of broke the record there. He's got Dolos in there this weekend, who you think, after that Sandown run, would probably be his big hope, I think. San Benedito's in there as well. Nicholls is getting on these Saturday rolls again, isn't he? Took the Dovecot, takes the big handicaps, wins a bumper at Kempton. So, he's on fire, basically. So Dolos I don't think he's ever won at the distance before. He's quite an interesting horse, Dolos.
Seems to be a little bit quirky.
Called a few names, wasn't he? I think, yeah, definitely. He lacks a little bit of resolution, but he launched him last time off a strong pace, and it certainly made his mind up. So it'd be interesting to see whether he's gone forward for that. He's got the class to take it out.
Yeah, Parky, I'm a big Happy Diva fan. I think she's a brilliant mare. You'd love to own one like her. Kerry Lee not had the best of seasons, I guess. So it'd be nice to see her win again. Any thoughts?
I like a horse called Molyneux for Colin Tizard. This horse was. It ran really nice, a really good race at Exeter last time. It was a bit of an eye catcher. It won well the time before that, and it was a bit unlucky. I think the time before that, he came down when he was about to mount a really serious challenge. Just think he's still well handicapped, and I think Dolos will obviously be one of the fancied runners, but Molyneux could pose some each way value in that race, I think.
Yeah, Binners, quickly, any thoughts?
Yeah, I like the way Calypto won the Swinley Chase at Ascot a couple.
Great ride, wasn't it?
Great ride, Maddie, and Venetia Williams' horses seem to be coming to form, and I think he'll go well again. Course and distance winner at Newbury.
Yeah, exactly that. And also on the card is a Veterans Chase, always popular. We always love these races. I'm personally hoping Abolitionist turns up so he can get his eye in for the Grand National. Houblon des Oboe, Carol's Destre, Theatre Guide, Doing Fine, Ziga Boy, Perfect Candidate, just some of the names in there, Parky. Who would be your sort of selection at this early stage?
My love of you always have a heartthrob for these veterans, and Theatre Guide's obviously mine, given his association with Q Card. I love Theatre Guard. He's been a great horse of past. He's not quite been in as rattling form as he used to be. I like Carol's Destry, I think.
Won the what was it? The Mandarin, was it?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, he's another admirable horse, as they all are, but I just think he's got that touch of class. He's in good nick at the moment.
Okay, hoping for another big win for Neil Mulholland. Dave?
Ziga Boy's quite interesting. For Alan King's been off for some time, but he knows how to win this horse, and I think he's probably still on the right march. Looking down, he's 137. That's a pretty good mark. I think it's probably his first run in this sort of company, I think, as well.
Yeah, and Binners?
I'm going to stick with Venetia Williams. Maddie Marsilhack hasn't been seen on the course for a long time, but will be interesting if he returns to the form that he was in before. He was knocking on the door with a couple of seconds the last season that he was running.
Yeah, okay, and there's also a good card at Kelso this weekend. Ascot winner Dashel Drasher is in the Premier Kelso Novices Hurdle. That's a Grade 2, as well as Dream de Grandval, who ran at the track last time. Emitom, a big and popular horse for a lot of people, is in there, as well as Getaway Trumps. So it'd be interesting to see who turns up. Dave, I think surely Dream de Grandval will turn up for Nicky Henderson, given that he's raced there before.
Yeah, Henderson likes to support this card, I think. He likes to support Kelso in general. He's taken some decent horses up there, hasn't he?
Yeah. We Have a Dream won the Moor Battle, didn't he?
Absolutely, yeah, that's right. Just looking down at previous winners, Mount Muse was last year. The kind of horses that have had an impact at Cheltenham, basically none. But Emitom would be interesting. Unbeaten, isn't he? And Warren Greatrick said he wants to get more experience into him. This is his last chance, I would imagine, to do that if they're going to go that way.
Unbeaten.
It will be interesting to see the betting. That Getaway Trump is in there as well. Badly positioned at Ascot, I thought, off a muddling pace, and absolutely flew. And I wouldn't give up on him yet either.
Yeah, you get the feeling that the Nichols team were pretty confident coming into that, didn't you, Parky?
Yeah, they were. And as Dave said, I think it was a funny position that he had to come from. It was a bit of a muddling race altogether, really. But yeah, I don't think we've seen the best of him. He was a bit unfortunate at Newbury, I think, behind Champ. That was turned into a really slow run affair where it became a bit tactical. I think we've not seen the best of him. It's interesting he's got an entry. Nichols is obviously, he's got a big chance now in the trainers market, so it's a nice prize money up there. Probably stops Nicky Henderson taking it as well if he was to run him, and might just give him some more clues if they want to run him in another quick turnaround with regards to Cheltenham. Yeah,
now just 12 horses in the Grimthorpe Handicap Chase, often a trial for the Grand National. Of course, Abolitionist is in this as well, so I'm happy. I'm just hoping he turns up somewhere. Rocky's Treasure, interesting entry for Kim Bailey, as well as Dingo Dollar, ACDC and Barney Dwan, a horse that's had his fair share of fans over the years. Binners, what are your thoughts on this one?
I haven't had a massive chance to have a look at that yet, Maddie. The declaration's only just come through. Well, what I will say is, though, on the first segment, I suggested that Vision de Flo might be a county hurdle horse. You were, of course, correct. I think the target is the Coral Cup, and that horse is 14-1 from 20-1 for that race.
Fabulous. We'll forgive you for that one, Binners. It's not rare that I'm right and you're wrong. Usually it's the other way round. Dave, any thoughts on the Grimthorpe?
Just the 12 runners in the Grimthorpe at a 5-day stage. It shows what they've had to deal with the ground up at Doncaster. I guess we've seen all season horses being taken out at the last minute, some small races. Rocky's Treasure, probably the key horse in the race, because a lot of people will be hoping he gives that OK Corral form at Warwick a boost, because Secret Investor didn't do that at the weekend. There's probably something up with that horse.
Yeah, I spoke to Harry Derham. Okay. He said he's sort of he's had a lot of problems. I think Secret Investor. He's blessed. He's not been blessed with. Yeah,
that's fair enough. So he's a course winner. Rocky's Treasure. He'll love the ground. It'll be nearly top weight, though, I would imagine. But 12 runners, the trainers are going to be licking their lips who've entered, aren't they? Absolutely, big prize for that.
For sure. Parky Dingo Dollar for Alan King, another bit of a talking horse. I think he's got a fair chance, hasn't he?
Yeah, if he returns back to the run that he ran in the Hennessy, he's got a massive chance. He looked like he was possibly going to win the race, turning in at there. I think the bet ground will probably suit him. He goes out in front, jumps. He's a likeable horse. Barney Dwan is one of my favourites, really. I still can't
he's not had that big win he deserves, has he?
No, there was a couple of us on at 40-1 for the Potemps that day, and turning in, I was getting very excited until I saw Davy Russell just pointing this thing behind him, and I was like, oh no. But yeah, I do like this horse. He's still not quite achieved what he probably should have gone on to. He was obviously trained for that Festival Novice race last year. She ran okay, and he probably will be well handicapped if he can get into his groove. There's nothing to suggest that he wouldn't. I don't think he's looked like bang out of form recently. He's just needs a winning opportunity. There's not a lot of runners in this race, but there's quite a bit of quality in it.
Yeah.
I mean, them three horses, Dingo Dollar, Rocky's Treasure, and Barney Dwan, they've all got talent. So
it wouldn't be out the place at the festival or anything like that.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, Dingo Dollar, I think is one of the about 16-1 for the Ultima. He wouldn't be. If they were to skip this and go there, I mean, he wouldn't be without a chance in that. I'm starting to wonder whether that Ultima. Luckily I'm on Give Me a Copper, and I'm getting rather excited about that bet because I'm starting to think it doesn't quite look the strongest of handicaps.
Single Farm Payment's the second favourite.
Exactly, yeah.
He never wins a race, does he?
No, exactly. So yeah, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how many run with Cheltenham in mind, because a few of them do have entries for the Ultima as well. So if there's only 12 entered for this, maybe that'll persuade a few to go for a bit of prize money, or maybe it'll...
Rocky's Treasure, the one that comes to mind for me. I think, Kim Bailey wanted to make hay while the sun was shining. Interesting, he's out again. We'll take another quick break now before we look at the midweek racing and get the lads' midweek naps.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week, and you'll get a free £10 bet the next week. T&Cs apply. 18+ BeGambleAware.org.
Welcome back to the final instalment of this Monday Postcast. The midweek racing is next. Let's have a look at what we've got coming up. Tuesday is Leicester, Fosslas, Catterick, Wolverhampton. Wednesday, Wincanton, Musselburgh, Southall, Kempton. Thursday is Musselburgh, Clonmel, Ludlow, Taunton, Newcastle, Kempton. Friday, Newbury, Lingfield, Doncaster, Newcastle. I always say them as quickly as I can. Parky, who are we fancying this week? But don't give away your best bet.
Yes, this is not my nap, but there's a horse of Ollie Murphy's called Clooney that runs at Wincanton on Wednesday. This horse, I was at Plumpton the day that he was beaten this season, and everything that could possibly have gone wrong that day went wrong. He was hampered 3 out. I think he was keen early on. He was hampered 3 out. He raced wide. And
wanted a stronger pace.
He wanted a stronger pace. The horse that was in front that ended up winning just got everything that he needed up front. He got such a soft lead, and is actually quite a good horse that's running again at Plumpton. Brandon Hill, and
he won on his next start as well.
Yeah, and look, this thing won quite easily next time, Clooney, and I kind of had him down. That was his third start. I thought, oh, handicap next time. He's only rated 126, but they're not going down the handicap route just yet. So this is another open novice field. I just think that he could be miles better than that 126 race. The way that he kind of picked up after being hampered, and then still nearly won the race at Plumpton that day, despite everything that went against him. I think he's a horse of quite a bit of talent, really, and he will be going in a handicap at some point.
He caught a lot of people's eyes. Was it at Huntingdon? I've got in my brain where he won on his bumper. Maybe not. Maybe I've got that wrong.
I think.
Yeah. Okay. Dave, anything catching your eye this week?
Yes, Newbury Friday's always a decent card. Gets a little bit excited again there for the weekend. There's a horse in the novice hurdle there called Present Value of Evan Williams. Chased home Al Dancer at 40-1 at Fosslas, and then absolutely hosed up at the Christmas meeting at Chepstow. I think there's no rain around, is there? We should say that, from what we can see. So, but he's out of a presenting mare, so I'll be interested to see what he could do on decent ground. I think he might be one of the best that Evan Williams has had for a little while, potentially.
Nice, very nice indeed. And Binners?
Yeah, a horse running at Fosslas tomorrow, the 4:10, Maddie, the extended 2 mile 3 furlong handicap chase. Truckers Highway for John Graucott. Jumped for fun when winning on his penultimate start at Uttoxeter on heavy ground. Found 1-2 good last time, but back on a bit of soft ground, which the going at Fosslas, they say soft at the moment. I think he can resume winning ways. Fantastic.
Now let's get the midweek naps.
This will not be beaten.
Tom Park, who's your best bet?
I like a horse called Calypso Collonge, again of Ollie Murphy's, and he's got 3 entries. He's in the 225 at Ludlow, the 335 at Ludlow, and the 345 at Taunton. This horse was given a very clever ride.
Is this on Thursday?
It's on Thursday, Thursday. was given a very clever ride by Richard Johnson last time at Uttoxeter. He probably won with a good bit more in hand than the half length I think he won by, and he only got bumped up £3 for that. I think this looks like, all three of these races look like good opportunities. I think he's still a good bit ahead of the handicapper, so
Okay.
Calypso Collonge.
Binners.
Well, it's not a midweek nap, Maddie, but I'm going for one on Saturday at Navan. Volatile Lady for the Curracundra, Brendan Duke. I spoke to him yesterday. This one was second in a maiden hurdle at Fairy House earlier this month. The horse that beat her was called Way Back Home, who advertised the form in winning a grade 3 at Fairy House on Saturday. This horse might prefer a bit of more ease in the ground, but it's like the Mediterranean in Ireland at the moment, so probably won't get that. But Way Back Home was having a 5th run. Volatile Lady, her first run in a maiden hurdle, second to that one. And Brendan thinks that she's more than capable of winning a maiden hurdle.
Brilliant. You've just rubbished the midweek part of our midweek nap, but we'll forgive you on that one, Dave Horton.
4:10 at Southwell.
That's how we're pronouncing it.
Yeah, the feature race there, it's an absolute belter. And all weather fans will be really looking forward to this one. Lots of chances, but Space Bandit for Mick Appleby, the 7 horse there, is drawn in 4th. Theodore Ladd takes off 5, still well handicapped.
Okay, nicely done. That will do us for today's Postcast. Dave, you're going to be back in the hot seat on Friday, I believe.
Can't wait.
Yeah, exciting times. We've got our anti-Postcast tomorrow, as well as golf and football throughout the week as well, so make sure to join us then. In the meantime, best of luck with your bets.
Paddy Power Games has over 250 of your favourites to play online, and we're going to attempt to name them all in this 10-second ad before the T's and C's kick in. There's Blackjack, 18+, begambleaware.org.